All right, welcome back. We are installing a Softstart onto the AC unit. So let me explain why we're installing this. So we are traveling up to Maine and we use Harvest Host, which is incredible. Link in the description for a little bit of discount if you want to sign up. It's about 50 to 100 a year depending on what package you pick. You can stay at wineries, breweries, farms, golf courses, whatever. But the thing is they don't have hookups. We do have solar, which is awesome. We can power most things with that. We also have tanks and whatever the whole works like most people have. But I always feel like the air conditioning is like the Achilles heel of RVing. So we have a generator, smaller one. I'll put it up on the screen. I was hoping this smaller one would be powerful enough to power our AC unit. Because it's a smaller AC unit, smaller RV. I thought it would be able to handle it. But the thing is that when you start an air conditioning, it has this massive power draw, and that trips the generator itself. So it can sustain it once it's running, but you need to get that initial start power consumption reduced. That's what this is. So there's a few different companies. There's a Softstart, there's Easy Start. Honestly, the only reason I picked this one is because they had a diagram for our specific AC unit. So, I mean, as far as I can tell, there's no difference between the two of them. They both seem to function the same way and do the same thing, and they both cost almost exactly the same amount. So the goal here is to create an awesome boondocking setup so we don't need hookups. And we can use a smaller generator as opposed to getting a massive 100-pound generator that just consumes tons of gas. Also, our generator uses propane, which is fantastic. We don't have to haul gas around, which is something I didn't want to do anyway. When we tested it out, I do understand that gas produces more power than the propane does, so I did end up putting gas into it to see if that would help, and still nothing. So we had to spend a night in hot temperatures with no AC. We had fans going, which is great, and for some people that's fine, but we like to sleep in the super cold, along with we have a dog and a cat, and we just don't want them to have to suffer because we don't have hookups or whatever it may be. So we're going to go through the install of this with our specific AC, and it's pretty comparable to how you install it on other AC units, but just for the record, this is a NuCamp Tab 400 to 2021, and it uses the Dometic CoolCat AC, which is located underneath this bench over here. I see a lot of videos installing this in rooftop units, which I'm sure you could find, but I did not see anything installing it in this specific unit, which is why I want to put this video together. All right, let's jump in. Okay, once this panel is off, you need to access the compressor, which is right on the right side over here. And it seems that the easiest way is you're going to actually have to remove this duct, which is right in my hand, that goes underneath here. And it should be pretty easy to put back on from there. There's just a big zip tie, so I'm going to cut the zip tie, pull the duct over to the side, and just put it behind me maybe. Probably be the easiest option. So let's go cut that off. All right, so that duct came off nice and easily from here. There's just this screw right there, and then I also cut off a zip tie that held it on together, and then I'm just going to kind of take it, put it off to the side just so I can work. So there's screws here. I don't know if you can see them. Let me try this out. So there's screws here, here, and this panel should come off. There's another screw on the other side, so I'm going to take this side panel off. I should be able to access all the wiring I need to see. All right, so for the record, the bolts you need to take off are right here. This one, because this holds this on, you can just loosen it a little. You don't take that one all the way off. There's another bolt here, and then behind this flap right here, there's a bolt right there that you need to get off as well, and then you'll be able to slide this panel off. So just don't forget about this bolt here. All right, it goes without saying that during this process, the AC is off, so it's really hot. We're in Baltimore, and it's like 90 degrees, and way hotter in here, so you'll have to forgive the sweat, but the thing's off. So take a look. So this panel's off. It was in here, right alongside. There you go. That's everything you need to access down there, all the wiring and all that kind of stuff. And then on the back of the panel, this is important. So keep this in mind and keep it nearby because you'll need it as you're going through the process to check wires and all that, especially considering your view is a little limited from up here. Oh, and also turn off all the electric. Disconnect from shore power, kill the battery switch. I even hit the fuse, even though everything's disconnected anyway, just to be safe. So just make sure you turn everything off so you don't get electrocuted as you start cutting wires. All right, step one, once you're in here, I'm gonna cut this zip tie right here just to give me easier access to the wires that I need to reach. So, step one, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm just filming the best I can with a small space. There's a white wire, just plain white. And I see these other ones on here, right? So, the white wire running to the capacitor needs to be removed right here. So we're going to remove that one. All right, here's the white wire. Now keep in mind there's a white and blue wire on that same panel, not that one. This one's just plain white wire. All you need is some needle nose pliers and you can pull it up. And then you have this right here, which you need to then connect to the blue the blue soft start wire. So we're going to do that next. All right, so after you have disconnected the white wire, you're going to crimp this one, make sure you see it, onto the end of the blue wire for the soft start. Because this will fit into the other end of the wire we just disconnected so you can connect them together. So just because of the size, you might want to fold the wire over on itself and then smush it through that way, and it seems to create like a more secure connection. Then go ahead and crimp it down and then give it a pull test, make sure it won't come off. And I might do a little electrical tape as well just to be sure. Nice clean connection. So, all right. So if you look, there's a port right here where I'm going to feed everything through, keep it nice and clean. You could go through the top electrical port, that just seems more complicated, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it here because I'm probably going to mount the Easy Start right here, so they'll be right next to each other. All right, so you're going to take this blue connection, I'm going to put it onto the black wire, crimp it down, and I'm going to put this where the white wire was on that capacitor back in the unit. All right, let me just say it is not easy to access. It's not even really easy to show you, but the black wire is now where the white wire was. You got to use needle nose pliers and like really line it up, but it's in the furthest back port where the white wire was connected is now the black wire coming off of the soft start. All right, this one should be a little bit easier. So see this right here, this red wire on the HERM terminal? It's hard to see in the camera, but you'll see it says it HERM right here. So don't disconnect this red wire, but on the terminal there's two open ports. So we're going to connect the yellow wire to one of those open ports using a similar connector that we used before over here. All right, so that yellow wire has now gone on to the HERM terminal with the red one. I did not take this red one off, I just added it to the open port on the terminal. And now that step's all good. Let's see what's next. All right, this is the first time we had a bit of like a variance between the instructions and what's in here, and it's not totally incorrect. So there's, it's saying that you need to, where is it? So it says, follow the blue compressor wire to the K4 relay, disconnect it and connect to the brown wire from the soft start. So it's actually like a blue and black wire that goes to the K4 relay, and what's confusing is that it's, if you look at the other little panel that came off the side, I'll put on the screen, it says it goes to K1, which is probably K1 on like the port, but the whole thing is a K4 relay. So just don't be confused. I'll show it to you, but just know that it's the blue and black wire going into what, oh, here it is, going into like the K1 relay, but that whole thing, I believe, is a K4 relay, like the whole setup, but it's on port K1. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I'll just show you. I'll show you the next step, so take a look. All right, so this wire right here, blue and black, and if you look on these, not that you can see it that well, I'll put it on the screen. Okay, here we go. So this says black, and that's on step 5 going over here, but if you look over here, on step 5 it says blue, so you just kind of combined the two bits of information. They're not, neither of them are technically wrong, but so you just combine those. You combine those two things, the black, black and blue wire. It's one single wire. Go into the K4, remove it, and then after you remove it, you're going to connect it to the brown wire on the soft start, and then you're going to connect the red soft start wire where that one was. So let's just get started. All right, since this step's a little confusing, I want to show it as best as possible, and I acknowledge that this is not the best angle. I don't have that much space to work with here. But this wire going into this terminal on the side, this black and blue wire, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to remove it right here. So there's the end of it. Now this, let's see if we can get it to focus. This needs to connect to the, what was it? The brown wire on the Softstart. So we're going to connect this to the brown wire on the Softstart. See if you can, there you go. Brown wire needs to be capped with the male end of this so you can connect these two together. There's a few ways to do it. I actually might do this one differently just because these push connections are kind of annoying. So here, I'll show you which one I'm going to use instead. All right, so I'm going to snip this end off, just like that. And then we're going to pull back some of this wiring. I believe this is a 12 gauge, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. And what I'm going to use to connect these two together, as opposed to the ones that were on there and what came in the pack, I used a few of them. They're fine. They're not my favorite. So instead, we're going to twist this off, make it nice and small. And I'm going to use this connector instead. There you go. So a little push connector I picked up, super easy and simple, works great. But first we got to feed it through the side here. I might have made it a little small. There we go. I probably should have put the wire through first. So note to self, push the wire through, then put the fat end on the end of it, so it fits through the little opening on the end over here. But either way, whatever, it's through. So we'll take this one, we'll push it into the end of it, just like the other one. And boom, nice and easy. There you go. So now they're both connected. No problem. And all right, on to the next step. So if you look right here, that H is where I pulled the other wire from, the blue and black one. So now I'm going to take this red one, oops, hold on, this red one with this end on it. I'm going to put it into that place where the other one was. Give it a little push, connect it in there, just like that. All right, so that was the last connection that you had to make. So essentially it is, one wire off, one wire on from the Softstart. Seems to be kind of like the pattern we're going with. The only time that doesn't happen is with the Herm when you add the one wire next to the red one towards the end. I'm not going to rebuild all this because if I did this wrong, I need some kind of access to it to undo it. So I'm going to clean up a little bit before I start it, and then we'll give it a test start, and we'll kind of go through the steps that you go through when you're starting it for the first time, because the Softstart does learn your system as you're going. So you want to start and stop it 5 or 6 times in the beginning and let it run for a little bit. So I'm going to clean up a little, get a little organized because I made a huge mess doing this, and then we'll kick it on, give it a try. All right, the AC is on. We're waiting for this green light right here to turn on. Sorry about the noise, I'm just letting the AC run. So once that green light turns on, we're supposedly good. Okay, there it is, green light's on. Kicking on and off, cool. We're set to 55 degrees like it says. Now we are technically good to just turn it off if we want and tidy everything up. But I'm gonna let it run. Hang on, let me just turn it off so you hear what I'm saying. Okay, I have it powering down now. You're supposed to have it turn itself on and off 5 or 6 times by setting it 2 degrees below the outside temperature. I guess I could just turn it on and off 5 or 6 times and kind of accomplish the same thing. So right now I have it off. It's going to take a second to power down. Now we're powered down and off. Now I can stop yelling. So it recommends you do 2 things. If you couldn't hear me before, 1, set it to 55, get it to turn on, get the green light on. If the green light is on, then you're kind of good. You can just kind of button it all up, clean it up, mount it to the wall, and close it. I'm not going to do that because I just want to know for sure this thing works how we want it to. So I'm going to let it run. It's recommended that you let it run 30 minutes, 2 degrees below the outside temperature, and that turns on and off. That way it kind of learns your system. So I'm going to do that for a little while, and then I'll feel comfortable shutting all this down, putting it all away, cleaning it up, and then trying it on the generator next. Okay, so why go through all this trouble in the first place? Kind of like I said in the beginning, we want to use the smaller generator on propane to power our AC. So this is kind of like the moment of truth right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up propane to the generator, to the plugs, to the RV, and then we're gonna go ahead and start it and see if it can run the air conditioning without tripping it. So what was happening before is it would start and the AC would start for a second and the generator would just trip and then it would shut down. So here we go, let's give it a try. All right, I'm just gonna step away because it's loud. Generator's starting up. You wanna let it kind of like level out a little bit before you just plug some loads into it. So I'll give it like 30 seconds, plug the power in, go inside, and we'll try the air conditioning. All right, we are back in the RV, so now we're gonna fire up the air conditioning. The generator is running on only propane, not gas right now. I don't wanna have to carry gas with us. We already have two propane bottles, so this would be the perfect setup. Here we go. All right, the AC is on. Something to keep in mind, and don't panic if you do this yourself, it does take a little while for the AC to start up. It could take a minute or two almost, so don't freak out. Just give it a second to start, and let's see how the generator holds up. All right, the AC is on. Switching over. Good. You will hear the generator kind of kicked itself up a little bit, but then it leveled out. So now the Softstart's running, easing it in. All right, let's go outside and check on the generator. All right, the generator is running. Just stepping away again so you can hear me. The generator is running, it's in eco mode, and the AC is going. The generator hasn't tripped itself like it was before. I think we're good. We can pack it up. That's it.